on you to ask really dynamic, interesting questions, and I just kind of like talk my way out of it. So, my name's Jeremy Inman. I've been voice acting forever. 19 years. It really hit today, this weekend. It's like, oh boy, didn't really ever register that much until you put 18 on it. I'm currently a full-time voice director for Funimation. Just wrapped Golden Kamuy.
Yay!
She gets it. And Space Battleship German 2. Crickets. It's really one of my favorite shows ever. And I've been saying this all weekend, it feels like, because nobody's really watching it. But it's the easiest anime in the world to watch. It's a comedy. The episodes are 7 minutes long, so they're 7 minutes long with the intro and outro songs. So you're really watching 4 minutes of content, really, or so, you know. But they're funny. They're a lot of fun. We just wrapped that too. I don't know if I can say the new show I'm about to start directing. I don't know. I can give you a hint. It involves a household pet. But that's all I can say.
I know which one I think.
Do you?
But I won't say.
Okay.
I won't say, but I think I know which.
That's a pretty generous hint.
No. It's on social media, but I won't say in case no one has seen it. I've seen it. I have a guess because it's been going across social media, but I won't say just in case.
I'm excited about that one. Yeah. So that's Jeremy Inman in a nutshell. Any questions so far? Yes.
I just saw that you also did Taurus and Fairy Tale.
I did.
was wondering what it was like to, because I know a lot of voice actors when they audition, they know almost like the very bare minimum of the character they're auditioning for. So what was it like auditioning for a muscular cow with an axe?
Black cow? Well, I didn't even audition for him.
Oh.
Tyler Walker, the director, gave me the part, just saw a pervy cow in a Speedo, and I guess flatteringly thought of me. Thanks. But he's great. He's one of, we were just talking about this at another voice actor panel. It's for his little screen time as he gets, he's a lot of fun. He's one of the more fun characters that I've done. And the first time I had to do his intro, because when he shows up, I think that's another reason why I got it. Because I had done that for Tyler, I believe, before in a different show. And then we were just talking about this, about doing react, like what's your favorite react or line you've ever done? And for me, it's a react, because the first time I was able to sound like a cow eating the dirt was in that show. The first episode he shows up where he's like, or it was like, or he gets, I don't know, I think it's like an ice cave or something.
Yeah.
Is it? And it was like, oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he's fun. I love him. I need to get another print of him. I've just got this one. I need to get a series, I guess. It needs to be a calendar.
Calendar.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so how in the name of God do you pull those performances in Golden Kamuy out of David Wald?
Out of David Wald?
Yes, how do you pull those out of him, or how does he pull them out of himself? I have no idea.
He's really good.
Yes, in that.
David Wald was one of my first casting decisions beyond Sugimoto or Ashirpa or anybody else, because I saw that character show up, and I had just worked with David Wald in something else. Hikaru Takotsu Ramens. I had just put David Wald in that show, and I felt cheated. His character gets killed off eventually.
What?
Spoiler alert. Sorry. Maybe it's a different show. Maybe it was a different show. It wasn't that show.
Okay.
Totally different show. But yeah, David Wald is just good at crazy, and he's good at different kinds of crazy, and that's what makes David Wald great.
Yes.
He can do subtle crazy. He can do. We were just talking about this. He was just in recording the last part of Surumi the other week. and we were talking about how he's not just overtly crazy, he's strategically crazy. And he's just naturally strategically crazy, especially with his crazy good voice. He's really good. David Wald is really good.
Yeah.
I've never heard him do, and he's one of those actors that are really easy to work with. He comes from the Houston Sentai Filmworks records differently than Funimation does. They do what they call chasing, where the actor's basically headphoned up watching the show, and they'll beep you. I don't even know if they have beeps, but you're just basically watching the lines and they're repeating them as the voice actor, which is crazy hard to me. Like, I grew up the Funimation way, where we get to preview the line, see what the flaps look like, and then come in and do it. But David and some of the other Houston actors have been doing it for so long, and they're just training with weights on as far as the way that, because they can come in and just kill it repeatedly. I don't let them, because that's not our way, but he's great. All right, there's new people. There you guys are. Did you bring questions? Because it's Q&A. I didn't have to prepare a topic or anything. Yes.
When did you get the role in Android 16?
When?
How did you get the role?
I auditioned. I can tell you that whole long story if you want.
Hey, got all day.
It was March of 2000. There's like act 1 and 2 and 3. I was working as a professional firefighter, paramedic, full time, but I had acted before. I had moved to Texas from California when I was 21 or something, thinking, I'm trying acting, I might as well do something else because it's Texas and there's not going to be crap as far as acting goes. So went to do something else I wanted to do, started doing that, and as soon as really, I was like, I was a firefighter for about a year and a half when I got Android 16, and I got Android 16 by running into an old theater friend of mine who I don't even like to call him friend because he was kind of a burnout. I just knew who he was, and we were catching up at an intermission of a play we were seeing at the same time. And he was telling me, hey, I just did these voices for this show called Dragon Ball Z, and I was like, what is that? I didn't even know what anime was. I had watched Robotech and Voltron as a kid, but never really put together that was a genre called anime. I mean, I didn't know. I was 8. Didn't have any real big dreams of being a voice actor, but I just thought it sounded really cool, something to do, or not just something to do, but like, I would impersonate Gaston all the time just because it was kind of in my range, and I figured out I could do it. Just things like that. So I literally got Chris Sabat's number from this guy. This was back in the day, 19 years ago in North Texas, where there wasn't a whole lot of people in our area that was into voice acting or even knew that this was an avenue, so there was just needed people. It was not the industry it is now. Called up and asked for an audition, and I literally went in, and from what I remember, there was a file room with a crappy mic like this set up in the file room, and I had a script I could read, like sides, with a little picture of the characters on it. And I didn't read for Android 16 at all. I read a Piccolo side, and I read a side. A side is basically a line scripted out with a picture of the character. And one of them was Piccolo, and one of them was Vegeta, and one of them was Goku, I think. All unbeknownst to me, were already been cast and being recorded for a year in or so at this point. So I just read my lines and submitted my audition, and the rest is history. And I got a call a month later saying I got the part as this android. And this is so crazy. When I started recording Dragon Ball Z, my very first day, this is the denouement, the Act 3. My very first night recording, it was like, I believe it was March 7th, 2000, and I can remember the date and time because it's when we were recording at this old high-rise bank building, and in the booth, it's like this whisper room, and there was a tube TV set outside, and that's where we were watching the video from, outside of the booth, and then past that you could see out the window of the bank building studio. And it's really flat in North Texas, so I could see all the way into downtown Fort Worth, which is where I live. And that day happened to be the day, tornado came right through my neighborhood. So I could literally see the wall cloud coming into my neighborhood as I was recording Android 16 for the very first night. It was kind of a cool memory. My house didn't get hit, but this billboard like a few blocks from my house did. And they left it because when the tornado hit it, there were the billboard standings were metal, and it took all the metal beams and perfectly twisted them, like they went like that. So the city left it and painted them because it looks like a piece, and now it's a piece of natural art. And they put a billboard behind it of the picture. It's a post office, and in front of the post office is these posts that got turned by the tornado, and they put a picture of the wall cloud coming in over downtown. It's my favorite piece of public art in Fort Worth. But that's how I got Android 16. I've been doing them ever since.
I love that character.
Thank you. I do too. It's like it's the whole reason I'm
You
here.
don't know if he's gonna be on the super that you know.
I'm sorry?
You don't know if he's gonna be on Dragon Ball Super that you know. Dragon Ball Super.
No, he.
I wish he was.
I know, me too, because they got the dumb android in there. He screws everything up the first time. He's like, no, I'm gonna kill him, and then Cell kills him, or then absorbs him, screws my whole story arc up. He's so worthless. Chuck Huber. Chuck Huber isn't worthless, but his character
is.
completely worthless. Completely. It's tragic. Yes.
So then, what about now as far as looking to how the industry's changed? If you want to become a voice actor, maybe you don't really have a background in acting or theater or anything like that, but you think you may have a shot at possibly doing it. How would you suggest, or how would you go about doing it?
I would start building a background in acting. This is our stock answer whenever we're asked about inroads into voice acting, because especially with what we do, you have to have something to lean on as far as interpreting material believably and instinctually, and honing in on intent quickly, because the way we record is cold reading. Like, you don't get the material ahead of time like you would a play or a movie or anything else that you would do as far as an acting job. You come in and you have to lean on your director in order to build the character if it's the first day, and then eventually you kind of get into the groove of it and really start to record it. But you have to have some sort of acting workshopping or training or idea of how it works, just for your own good. As far as I can tell you, the biggest contrasts as examples of what I'm talking about. A lot of times I'll get theater actors, they're theatrically trained, and they're amazing actors. I've seen them in shows, I know them personally. But when it comes to voice acting and putting all that energy into the microphone, they still want to be theatrical. So it's like, I need a pirate captain to sound like a jerk, and I'm getting Shakespearean piracy. And it's like, it's like, so you have to be able to create that character, make it sound believable, but also fit it into this box of mouth flappage and timing that we have to match. And it's really its own unique skill. So bare bones, I would take some sort of beginning acting class just so you know how the process works. And if you're looking at voice acting specifically after that, I would start looking into various voice acting workshops. There's a few where I live now. We've been doing it so long, a few veteran voice actors have broken off and started their own. Some of them even offer starting to demo. But second part of the advice for that track is don't just try voice acting as far as how you understand it to be anime dubbing. There's voice acting, all types of VO work. It just boils into voice acting, commercial work, industrial work, radio work. There's so many different video game work. I mean, before you just have to, there was about 2 types of demos. There was like a radio/industrial demo and an animation demo. Now I know some voice actors with 5 different demo types. One's for video games, one's a character reel, one's an industrial reel, one's a commercial reel. It's like, oh geez. You don't need all those. Those are for more, especially just getting out. We're about to start building hers with like just a character reel for animation, and then grow into that. There's also, you live in Ohio, in Columbus, are you local?
Yeah.
I don't have any idea what the industry is like here, but I know there is VO industry here. There has to be for just local commercialing, radio, things like that. I don't know how to tell you that's the only thing I can tell you is that I know that it's here. But I know a lot of VO studios or workshop studios that will build you a reel from the ground up. They'll write you copy. They'll write you scripting for the character, or if it's an animation character, or if it's just selling donuts, you know. Columbus's best donuts, right down the street. So like every city has some sort of, another good, you know what a good cheat as far as training, I wouldn't even say it's a cheat, is do you have a community college here in Columbus, Ohio?
Yes.
They have a TV, video, film, radio department? Take a
I-
class. I bet you they do.
Oh.
And it's your cheapest form of great training and hands-on experience, because you're not paying, I don't know what the credit prices are, but I give this advice in every city I go to, because not only does it get you, even if there's no teacher, there's still equipment you can mess with and start maybe trying. I built a reel in radio class for radio as a project. You know, my projects were VO a movie trailer, like In a World, that kind of thing, and build all kinds of stuff like that. And at the end, we had a radio project where we had to produce an hour-long radio program as our final project, and we had to work in a group, which some people probably like scour at. I did as well, especially as a 40-year-old man in a community college. But I did it, and I was so glad I did it, because not only it taught me how to work with other people better, but it taught me the kind of people I like to work with versus I don't like to work with, or how to work with people I don't like to work with, that kind of thing. So there's just little tricks of the trade that you have to apply, especially in a vain industry like voice acting as it is, that I think a community college approach is a great first step in. Because you're literally meeting other people wanting to do it. You're learning who else is good and who you can help versus help you. Really, the big thing is the equipment as well. Like, we had studios we could use. We had time on the mixing board and all that other stuff. We had our own little sound booth. We could record VO stuff in all the time. So it was pretty good. And then just going from there. And P.S., I mean, like I just said, you could probably cut a reel at the community college, and at least it'd be good enough to start sending out locally or something like that. And you'd also take an acting class at the college too, I bet. It's like two birds,
Yes.
one college. So, you get it. Sorry. Questions. Q&A with Jeremy Inman. That's what it's called, so I don't feel guilty about not talking. Sarah Whedon has texted me, probably bailing on our dinner. Aaron Disney already did. Yeah. XOXO. That's what I shouldn't have told. I was too busy drinking. It was terrible.
So, what was it like playing JJ on Yuri on Ice?
Hard. It was hard, and I'll tell you why. And this is why you have to go to acting class. Because I was used, JJ is the first character I did in, at that point, 17 years of voice acting, that I just used my voice and I had to act. I had to really act. So if it's bad, don't tell me. It'll be shattered. But I like starting with Android 16, I'm always doing voices like this, or I'm yelling a lot, or I'm a cow with Speedos or whatever. I do a lot of vocally taxing roles, but not a lot of deep introspective roles. So JJ was literally the first real person character I had to do, and I went into it thinking, oh, this is no problem. I've directed, I've acted, but it was actually really hard because there's an aspect of vulnerability you have to use in order to act believably that I had not been tapping into in a long, long time. So JJ kind of made me, forced me to act better, really, or act worse. I don't know. Either way, it forced me to act beyond again, that's why you should get some sort of acting training, is because outside of my comfort zone, which I appreciated at the end of it, but it was frustrating while doing it because I was constantly judging myself as far as on hearing playback, and so it's like, because I don't mind hearing myself on playback if I'm talking like this or whatever. But if I'm hearing just Jeremy be an a-hole skater, it's different. So, yeah, it was challenging. Yes.
So you brought up Android 16. Have you ever seen Dragon Ball Z Abridged? And if so, what do you think of it?
Didn't you ask me this earlier today? Yeah, I get asked this like 10 million times. I'll tell you, this is my honest Ask Jeremy Inman question about what I think about Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I've never actually heard it, but I know I could do a better job at it as Android 16, being funny and stupid, because I would love to, but I'm not allowed to because of licensing. So it makes me sad because I want to be able to do it. I've been trying to, this is a kind of a bad segue, but I'm going to use it anyway. I have been trying to get us to be able to make a joke anime like what they do for years, ever since I got into this. And I can't do it. Nobody will let me because the licensors are so strict with it, which is one reason why they got kicked off the internet, I think, or I don't know, something happened.
They're still on.
Are they?
Yes.
Or was it 4-star? One of them, are they the same? I don't know. I know the guys that do it, like Frerix.
They're still on.
Yeah.
They're still doing it.
And then they have to come back on.
Oh, it's a thing.
It's
yeah.
It's Toei doing it, but they keep coming back.
Yeah. What a pain. What a pain in the butt. But I would love to be able to do something like that, but we don't because of what they're dealing with. They very, very, I don't want to say strict, but they're, you know, even with the worst animes ever, like I could go find some POS anime from '88 with crappy anime, just a bad show, and they probably wouldn't let us make a comedy dub of it. Like Houston did one called Ghost Stories. I don't know if you guys heard of that.
Love that show.
Yeah, see, everybody loves that show, and that's what they did. I talk with Monica Rowe about it all the time, about what it would be great if they would just let us make a joke dub anime. It would be so great. We'd keep, it wouldn't just be us making, bathroom jokes and stupid. We'd put a story in it. I don't know. And actually, I'm going to have a meeting with the producers next week. And that's going to be one of the ideas I pitched to them, because I also think we need more children's programming in anime. For some reason, it's just not a market Funimation has really tapped into. It's the first thing they teach you in film school is if you want to make any money, get into kids movies, and it's just amazing to me that there's not even a tab. There's on the Funimation.com streaming service. There's not even a kids movie or a kids option. It's like, anyway, that's my big anime soapbox. Questions. I got 29. You have questions?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
What are some techniques or habits that a person should do or get used to in finding their voice and how to use it?
That's a great question. I would say, like, just starting out, let's say I woke up today, I'm going to be a voice actor. Today's the day. It's the first step, 1,000-mile journey. I would study voices that you think you can do that are voice acting right now. And I also, going back to, God, I'm all over the place. But it just made me think, because we were talking about getting into voice acting, also about you're going to need to build a reel. And I would find people's reels online and listen to. I get them all the time. But like, I know, like, let's say Monica Rial, her agency has her reel online where prospective clients can go and listen to them. And I would do that. I would start listening to how professional voice actors' reels are sounding like, what they're doing, because there's trends with them too, which I think is kind of frustrating. But just like in any market, things trend versus right now, hey, I'm the apathetic hero type voice, but you should still come to Applebee's and we'll hang out, or something stupid, or, or Sundays, and, so there's different trends in demo making as well, or what people want to hear in their VO, and actors will change or update their reels probably every 2-3 years or so. But your question was finding your voice as far as, I think it's just a mix of already having a feel of what you can sound like, and then really exploring. Like, I'll never voice anything Eric Vale voices, and Eric Vale might try, but he'll never be good at voicing something I do I wish he was here so you could hear that. That was a good one. And I mean, it just depends on the kind of the amount of work you want to do or put into doing it. Like, if you're not auditioning and if you're just at home trying to find what kind of voice acting you want to do, but what kind of voices you want to use to voice act with. I would pick a natural voice that's in your tenor or in your normal range, and I would pick maybe something just a little higher, and I would pick maybe something a little lower, just so you just start to find your own range. And I would record yourself and start to listen to yourself, which is what everybody hates to do. It's science. But it is a helpful tool to see, because it's so many times, I will think I'm just delivering the magic of Shakespeare, right, singing off the screen. You know, what an amazing performance. And then I'll hear it back a day later, and I'll go, what? What was my intention there? So, yeah, like, let's take you for example. She's got a high voice and she's got a natural smoky register that isn't so towards song singer, but there's a light ambience and like just a light natural tone to it as well. And she can do a squeaky character as the two, right, with May. So it's a combination of finding what you're most comfortable acting in as well. Like if it starts to sound forced or it takes a lot of breath control for you to do, you're probably not going to be able to sustain that for long sessions of time and things like that. So.
Well, what I learned from voice acting, from other advice, is that you don't ever want to sound like someone else or take someone else's work, especially when you're making a demo.
Oh, for sure. Nobody wants to hear your
No.
Cartman. I mean, that's building a demo 101 or auditioning. Nobody wants to hear how well you do Stewie or Peter Griffin or Cartman, because those are already existing characters that we don't need voices for. I need to hear your take as a director. I need to hear what you're bringing to the table. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another question on that one, finding your voice. With some of the anime, you get some where they're doing very serious, and all of a sudden they'll start going into that more, I don't know what the term would be, more kid-like, jovial or whatever.
Yeah.
They burst into a completely different.
Oh, tell me. Yeah.
And it gets to that, the crazy,
Yeah.
manic or whatever, childlike, and then flipping back and forth. How do you manage that if you're mostly used to one? Like, can you transition that?
I just keep rolling with it. I get, like, especially anime can get kind of manic, like you were saying, as far as this is really serious, and all of a sudden there's a pop-up what? And that's like a little moment of levity in it. I think that just happens organically, and don't forget, you have the help of the director with, you're not just doing it alone, unless you're at home doing it alone. But in that kind of scenario, like actually recording an anime dub, you're gonna have other people there. You might even have the other parts recorded that you can hear. That's another aspect of the kind of recording we do is, the LA folk have it easy where they do what they call prelay, where you're just sitting around recording the part and then you're animated. And we're doing it the reverse, where you may be the first one to record on the episode and not have anybody in there to bounce off of. And that's the quickest, easiest lesson in acting is reacting. So if you're, and because it's natural. It's like if you're angry at me, then it's going to be easy for me to respond acting wise. You know what I mean? But if there's just nothing, it's just you get to hear the Japanese version, which is very helpful. There's little tricks like the Buddy Hackett School of Voice Acting, where the quickest trick and tip I've ever heard was if you're ever really trying to hone in on the emotional take of the scene, just look at their eyebrows. And that tells you about 90% of how you need to deliver the line. It's just if their eyebrows are like this, it's like funny, or I'm serious. It's quick trip. It comes from you need to cry on stage, pull a nose hair out. It works.
Going back to what you said about delivering and using your diaphragm and breath control, I forgot which voice actor said this, but basically, if you have a voice, if you can't use that voice and recite Shakespeare, then you can't use that voice, because that's
whatever voice that is, that's your if factor, that's your money maker, and you have to take care of it.
Yeah, that's going back to you have to be able to be comfortable in a voice long enough to sustain it. I mean, I don't do much Shakespeare recycling, but it's a metaphor. All right, moving on. Next question. If you guys don't ask questions, it's going to be a staring contest. I'm going to win.
I have a question. Can anyone here, besides Jeremy, name their favorite anime director?
Full Metal Alchemist Mike McFarlane.
There you go.
Black Butler Ian Sinclair.
Oh. Should say Black Butler. What's your favorite Black Butler arc?
Oh.
Who's your favorite Black Butler character?
Oh God. Oh.
Is it Sebastian?
Why?
Oh gosh.
It's everyone loves Sebastian.
Everybody does. There's no question.
What about Grell? She's a big Grell.
No.
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 I'm not.
Stop.
I find Grell annoying. I love his character, but I just no.
I'm sorry, you have a question?
Oh no, I was gonna answer that.
Oh,
with,
good.
My Hero Academia, how music compared.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
I do. She's tapping into a panel I do called Directing Anime and Why You Should Care. Because as a director and a voice actor, I get the benefit of going to cons like this as a voice actor, but I'll constantly see it's like, there isn't one voice actor here that doesn't owe their career to a voice director for casting them in this part that everyone loves. And it's like, I don't know, you know who Chris George is. He just kind of finished
Yes.
directing Black Clover. But he's really bitter about it. You guys should have him come out to a con. Because Chris started as a sound engineer. And I went to, I think it's South Dakota, and brought Chris with me. They were down a guest. It was like, I'm like, why don't you bring a sound engineer, which is a different element of how the programming is produced that might be more educational for the people going to the con. Unless, you guys tell me, would you rather see just your favorite voice actors, or would you rather see like a mix of guests that can give you a fuller aspect of how the industry works, like sound engineering, voice directing, sound mixing, that kind of thing? There's like
Mix.
just more of a potpourri of people that work in the industry that can give you like a panel on sound engineering and things like, or how using Pro Tools, because that's what we use. We use Pro Tools at Funimation. Chris could even offer to bring a rig up and mix a session with somebody, you know, like as a panel. Well, he's a director now.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, more active.
But I don't think cons get it. Like,
J. Michael Tatum did a adaptive writing panel
Yeah.
a while ago, but that was.
I give a panel in screenwriting, not even just ADR. God, that was St. Louis or something. I don't know. I used to do I've worked in film and TV before, so I used to do just working in the production industry type of panel, where it wasn't just about voice acting, but it was about the different areas and jobs that are both creatively rewarding and really cool to do that a lot of people just don't know about. They just know they want to be an actor or whatever. It's like, I'm going to be the next director. But there's cool jobs that are just as rewarding, like first AD or script supervisor or second AD, or it just goes down the list. Not grip. That's a crappy job. But hey, if you want to do it, if you like it, I love it. But then just kind of explore the fuller aspect of working in the industry versus I want to be a voice actor. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, if you have to have a job, especially in the acting industry. But if you just want to be a voice actor, you at very least have to be willing to do different kinds of voice acting jobs in order to, pay your car payment. That's your goal.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Like, I'm just starting off, and I've been in so many wallas, and I got one part. So, and I also have a side job. So,
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
I mean, I know because I work full time, but the actors, I'm a salary employee of Funimation, but all our actors are contractors, and they can just my own acting. It's like 19. There would be times would go by when I didn't even think I worked for Funimation anymore. When I was a voice actor, 3 months would go by and I'd be, well, I guess I'm not doing that anymore. And then you get 3 roles in a month and be there all the time. It's just ebb and flow, and It's just a lifestyle you have to be willing to go with and accept and kind of, you know, you just have to be willing to live that lifestyle where you're constantly contracting. I started to not like it. I've freelanced as a director and as an actor in video production for way too long, and I just got tired of the taxes, and I got tired of the feast or famine aspect of it. So I'm nice and comfortable now, which is a full-time real job. Not that that's not you get it. Yes.
Well, because I was talking to Bo Billingsley about, he was saying that now with technology, how much you can almost be in the moment do this. So do you need to be where Funimation is, or do you not necessarily be, or how was the industry,
for
technology kind of going?
If you want to, for Funimation specific, it kind of is up to each director. I myself do not like to cast out-of-town people because it really shuts my schedule down. You can do it. Like when Funimation uses people, the short answer is yes, you can be at home if you have a decked out studio like Todd Abercorn does, where if you're not in your closet, that's fine for auditioning. Like for sending auditions in, it's fine. But for actual broadcast quality recording, you have to be in a soundproofed studio with the right kind of software and microphones that are plugged into our, there's a whole thing. We have this system called Source Connect where we record people that, we use a lot of Houston actors like David Wald. He lives in Houston, or he's from Houston. So there would be sessions where we would have to source connect him, where he went to a studio we contract in Houston, and they have a sound engineer, and I can talk to him via our interface on the computer machine box, and magically it happens. I don't know a lot. There's a sound engineer that handles a lot of that. I just tell him to do it again if he needs to. But same with people in LA. There's actually a few studios that Funimation will contract with in Los Angeles that the actors will go there and record if it's something like a small part. But if it's like, if you just, like I said, for Funimation specifically. Now, if you're looking at the broader sense of the voiceover world, then yes, you can do it from home, especially when it comes to auditions. I know a lot of people that will audition for either, Julie Shields is one. She is a hustler. Like I don't even know if you know who she is. You probably don't.
Julie Shields is
But-
in Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, she's in Five Nights at Freddy's, and she got that just hustling. She will audition sometimes 100 times in a night off various websites and things her agent will send her. She does a lot of indie video games, which is also a big market for people starting out trying to get into voiceover in the voiceover world. Indie video games are nice. A lot of times they'll pay. Maybe it won't be much, but it'll be something. Once you get your stuff together and once you're ready, I also don't suggest taking pennies to do voiceover work, or just like giving it away for free. I mean, we're all trying to make a living in this business, and it starts to cannibalize itself when there's so many people trying to do it. And then if you think you're worth it, don't be afraid. If you're new, give them a deal. Know you're new. Don't go into it thinking you're amazing, even if you are, if you're new. I don't ever use, I'm trying to reference like voices123.com or one of those sites, and you all know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
There's various websites that you can get onto for a fee, and you can pull auditions. You can audition, like some of the video work I've done, we've used some voice actors off that. We needed a guy with a Kenyan accent to do this fundraising video we did for refugees, and they found some voice actor in Kenya to do it. So that was helpful, but I never really endorse or deny those kind of websites, because I've heard them work for people, and I've heard terrible, terrible stories about them as well. But it is a resource if you want to. I think it's like $300 for the year. I mean, they're different. There's obviously just subscription based, but the point is, good for gaining experience. Start looking. This turned into how do I become a voice actor real quick, didn't it?
Yeah. Basically, the closet is the best place if you're on a budget to start demo reels or auditions. And then you want to soundproof the closet by hammering foam into the walls. If you have an iPhone, great, use the voice memo, start recording, and then edit it in the GarageBand app. That's what I do when it comes to video game auditions. Since I don't have a studio, someday we'll make a studio.
Yeah, like a closet. I know. You'd be surprised at the amount of voice over actors I know that use their closet to record stuff in. Even if, especially if it's just an audition. The audition doesn't have to be completely clean, amazing audio. Before she got a microphone, she could send them on her phone. You know, it's crazy. Yes.
I know, because I've watched a lot of stuff on YouTube that a lot of the Funimation actors will do voices whenever they go through drive-throughs and stuff. Have you ever done that?
No, I haven't. I've never.
I do have a story.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this was before I ever became a voice actor, but I remember I went to, I think it was Wendy's, and I went through the drive-thru, and I was so excited for some reason, and then I went really high in my voice range that I kind of sound like Butters from South Park, and I was I was taking my order, and then we heard silence, and I was like, hello? And they're like, just give us a minute. Apparently everyone in the restaurant was laughing their ass off because of my voice.
I never have. I'm trying to think if I have.
No, neither have we done like those prank calls. Like I know C-Dog does Sebastian as
Yes.
it does prank calls. Yes. No, we have not.
I haven't. That's the short answer. I kind of want to now, but
We
it's
kinda
gonna be
like-
good. I don't want to waste it. I don't want to throw it away.
Yeah.
So, Deb, did you have another question?
Yeah, so I know you spend most of your time directing. What would you say your directing style is, and how might it
That's a good question because every
different
director does
from
different.
other people like Mike McFarlane or Caitlin Platter?
Right.
Who exchange that?
That's a good question because when it comes to me and having other directors direct me, everyone is different, and you kind of understand each person and how they direct and how they want you to become that character, and they use their play on words.
Right. I'm a very casual director. I like the actor to feel comfortable, especially if they're new. I'll purposely make small talk before we start. I'm a very intentional driven director. There are directors out there that will give you line reads, which I hate. I can't stand it. I know there's plenty of actors. I don't care if it's like the third take and it's like, just tell me how you want it. I don't care. But I pride myself on not being a line read director, and just in the general scope of directing, it's really easy, especially for new directors, to get into the trap of dictator directing when everything has to be their way. It's my vision, this is how I see it, and I'm the boss and I'm the director. It says director next to my name, man. But when they're failing the whole project when you have that kind of tight grip mentality on it, because you're not collaborating artistically with people that are there to collaborate artistically. There's art in everything, in every job in it, from the sound engineer to the voice actor to the director. So when you're not letting them be artists if you're just insisting on it sounding like how you want it to sound. So my job, the way I see it as a director, I'm a director, I direct via intention. Like, I'm not just gonna tell you, I like to be quick too. I don't, like if you're just there for an hour recording session, I don't have time to give it, because you ask different directors at Funimation, some of them will give you these long diatribes of backstory on an episode that I have 4 lines in. You know, it's like, I don't really need to know the last 5 episodes worth of content to deliver these 4 lines, but I do need to know what I'm thinking / feeling with the lines. That's where you're gonna get, and that's what I do, that's where you're gonna get the line read and that performance you want out of the actor. I don't know, does anybody ever do any acting? Would that help you if you knew, well, this guy you're talking to 4 episodes ago was in a forest and he built a fire, and because of that fire, now we're here, but then this dog came, I don't know, I'm totally winging this, it's shooting from the hip, but the point is, You just need to know, as the actor, you're sad in this scene because the dog that this guy we were talking to died 4 days ago or whatever. You don't need to know the entire journey, especially with such a tight schedule that we have. So I'm an intent-driven director. I heard a term this morning, it was results-oriented director. I don't know, I'd never heard of that even. Result what?
Result directing.
Result directing, which I had never heard even at the film school I attended. I don't know what that meant. I just thought it was directing. If you're directing by giving intention to the actor, because that's how actors are trained. They're trained to use their intention to deliver a line believably and true to the emotional state and dynamic of the scene. So if you're just telling people how to say a line, then there's nobody's doing nothing. You know, so just talking how you want them to talk. It puts the actor in a tricky situation too, because especially if they're an actor that doesn't like to get line reads, but they know they have to deliver the performance the director wants in order to, you know, I don't know, stay in good graces, or because you want to work as an actor. So
Yeah.
it's just important to know that it's all a collaboration. It's not a dictatorship. It's not a democracy either, but I mean, there is a hierarchy of decision making, but that doesn't mean you can't get to the final decision with input from all sides. So.
Yeah, whether you're in the booth behind the mic or you're auditioning for a ADR director, you have to take criticism and you can't take it personally.
That's a big thing. I don't know what it is with actors, the demographic of people that want to be actors, but they take things so personally. And that's the biggest just crutch to bear if you want to get into acting, because the whole job is taking feedback and criticism.
Because that's how you learn, that's how you grow from where you fell, you stand up again.
Yeah, you can't. It's funny, it's like you have to have an ego enough to be confident, but you can't let that ego let yourself get buttered every time somebody makes you make a correction or something like that. That's tough. All right, we got 5 minutes. If there's a lightning round situation. No, there's no lightning round. Yes.
So how do you feel about more American-made animes and how they're kind of reversing and have to send it back to Japan?
Is that happening?
Oh yeah.
Where, with Netflix or something? Or?
Some like a little bit of some of those stuff like production companies like Rooster Teeth.
Oh yeah. It's like Ruby.
Yeah.
I love it. I was around when they first started auditioning for Ruby. I was too busy and lazy to even send my auditions in, even though they were telling me to. It was like, thank you. I never did.
I just like how it went over there. Well, I think it won Best Anime 2017.
Did it?
In Japan, yeah. They loved it so much, they had to turn it into a manga, and then they didn't port it back to us.
And then and then started the cycle over again. I think that's great. I wasn't too informed on that, but I think it's great. I think it's about time. I've been saying this for years. I would love for somebody who didn't know what anime was and didn't watch anime before I started working in anime. That's how I approach my directing style as well. I am trying to create a product or a visual audience experience that can our audience, like American audiences, can relate to. All of you, I'm sure, have watched anime. We're at an anime con, and there's some of that this, like even me, and I've seen a lot of anime. I was like, what are they doing? What is this? What is this? Or some of the character designs and stuff. So I love to work on things that are more mainstreamable or palatable to a broader audience. Like Golden Kamuy is one of those shows to me. So is Relife, Saga of Tanya the Evil. That just, to me, as somebody who didn't watch anime before I started working in anime, has a broader net. Because that's, I mean, if I can enjoy some of this anime, I know somebody else can that doesn't know what anime is. So that's the long answer to your short question. I'm glad they're reversing it. I was gonna say I would love like a real Western, like Golden Kamuy is kind of a Western. It's almost like a Japanese version of what a Western would be. It's a turn of the century, it's a lot of military and a lot of, they're out in the wilds of the, wilderness. They kill a lot of bears in the show. I don't know what that's about. I think in the first 3 episodes they kill 4 bears. Jeez. Yeah. Yes.
Have you ever wanted to meet any of the Japanese voice actors, like seiyus of characters that you voice?
I want to meet the guy who does Android 16 because it's the same guy that's been doing it as long as I have, and I always hear him. Especially when we're doing the video games. The video game recording is different. All we have is the Japanese file, but we don't have any visuals or anything to watch. And we're used to normal anime dubbing. You're watching the scene, and then we get to do it and match the flaps and stuff. Well, video games, you don't have any of that. You just hear the file of the Japanese seiyu. So it always makes me laugh because it's always him. It's always the same guy. It's like, I can almost sound like him, almost. But it's always tough because he'll be. There's the times are always off. Like he'll go, he'll say something. Pause, say something. But the English version of that is like twice as long, or it's always either twice as long as the amount of time I have, or twice as short as the amount of time I have, especially with reacts. And I was really disappointed on some of the flat work on Dragon Ball Fighters on the video game, but it's still awesome. Yeah.
I can't talk. I'm sorry. Was there any awkward recordings of Takagi the Trickster that you directed that was between Aaron and Sarah?
Oh, Aaron tried to punk Sarah like the last day of her recording because he had just finished.
Oh, is this middle school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron tried to punk her. I think it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, he got her.
Yeah.
I saw it on Twitter. He got
That's
her.
right. But that was
I meant
it.
any other times, like any awkward recordings, because it's like, oh, these two are dating, and
That's why I
they're
cast
trying-
them. They're both perfect for the roles. And I thought, well, wasn't that a nice little fun thing to have? They're actually dating. Have them do this part. That is such a. Here's my thing with that show. I love that show. It's adorable. Everybody loves it. And it's getting a season 2.
Oh, it's confirmed?
Yeah. Well, Funimation has not confirmed that we're going to
Oh.
dub it, but there is a confirmed season 2,
Oh.
just to be clear. But it was just like, pick up the pace, you guys. I felt so sorry for the kid because he never wins, and I'm a big proponent of at some point you have to have your hero, so you have to win. I learned that in Screenwriting 101. You have to give somebody a win at some point, or you will lose your audience. I'm not watching it to watch you constantly suffer. It's not Sophie's Choice.
That was the thing with Pokemon. Ash constantly losing league after league. I'm like,
But he still gets back.
why?
Yeah. So, and that's what I got frustrated about that show. But maybe he'll win.
I think he did at one point.
That's what got me frustrated with watching XYZ, because you get finally to him to the league, and it's like he hits the final battle, final crunch, and he loses, and I'm like,
It's 6:31, guys.
Yes,
It means
thank
my
you.
time
Thank
is
you.
up. Thank you for coming. Give yourself a big round of applause. Thanks for chatting it up. I don't know what I'm doing.